Hi guys, welcome to a new video.
What is your Tinder horror story? Well, I've only gone on one Tinder date. We talked for a bit and I agreed to pick her up at Starbucks. She looked nothing like her pictures, but I thought I should be nice and at least hang out with her for a bit. We went to her place and the entire house reeked like cat pee. Like saturated. Then as she proceeded to show me her massive collection of animal tail butt plugs, she screamed at her chihuahua and smacked it right on the nose and without missing a beat just asks if I want to make out on the couch. I awkwardly sat down and pretended to look at my phone and made up that my grandma was dying so I could GTFO. Talked to him for 2 weeks before we went out and no red flags, so we ended up going out to dinner. I said I hadn't been out in a while because I was trying to save money for a washer and dryer. He told me instead of saving for that I should save for a boob job. I didn't even know how to reply, so he followed up with, "No, it's not a bad thing. My sister and mom both had small tits and got boob jobs and they look amazing." This is all before the waitress even brought our drinks. I just got up and left. We were supposed to meet at 9 p.m. He fell asleep and called me at 9:30 when I was already at the carnival. I told him not to bother coming as I didn't want to see him. He asked for another chance and I agreed. Unfortunately, my dad got really ill and had to spend the next 6 weeks in the hospital with me visiting him daily. I had no time for dates and he got extremely mad. He made a fake Instagram account which he used to follow me and everybody that I followed. He then saw me in a friend's Instagram story and showed up to the restaurant we were at. He called me a whore and a liar and we had to threaten to call the police because he would not leave. Edit. Some of you are asking how it ended and I'll just add this to my comment. He had my number and kept calling me using different phones. I knew it was him because he'd just be silent and I could hear him breathing. He did this for over 10 months. I was even living in a different country towards the end. One day I was expecting a call from a friend and had a missed call from a landline, so I called back. It was his mom. I explained to her what was happening and after a long silence she said, "Please don't call the police. I will talk to him." Never heard from him again. Edit 2. Some people are asking how the convo with his mom went, so I'll just type it here too. I was living in Thailand at the time and I had a friend, Luis, text me the night before telling me that he missed me and he wanted to catch up, so I told him he could call after I finished work. I was a teacher there. When I came back from school I saw I had a missed call from a landline and I assumed it was Luis, so I called back. A woman picked up. Her. "Hello, me. Hi, Teeny Gecko here. I have a missed call." Her. "It must have been Carlos. He's not home at the moment but I'll have him call you later." It clicked for me. I only know 2 guys named Carlos. Me. Carlos surname. Her. "Yes, me. I'm sorry, but could I talk to you for a second?" Then I told her everything I remembered. I was so scared she would not believe me and call me a liar, etc. I was shaking and I've never felt so shit. It was nearly 2 years ago and I forget the exact details, but she kept whispering "Dios mío" as I was telling her. She asked me to not call the police and I told her I would if I ever heard from him again. I never did. Edit 3. Some people are asking me how I found out about the fake Instagram account, so here it goes. The reason I was at a restaurant was because my sister had flown in from Dublin to visit my dad for a weekend and she made plans to meet her friends for tapas. I drove her to the restaurant and her friends saw me drop her off and asked me to stay. I did. After a while, I saw him and he yelled. The waiter threatened to call the police, and after the madness I sat back down and we all looked at each other like WTF. I wondered how TF he knew I was there, and the only way he could have known was because one of my sister's friend put up a story where we were all saying salute with our drinks and she saw that 140 people saw the story. We ended up finding his profile and realized that he had followed everyone I followed, so that's how. We all reported the account and it got taken down by Instagram. Matched with my BFF's fiancé after the engagement party. Screenshots of everything and lost my BFF because I don't play that. I was uninvited to the wedding. Marriage lasted 18 months. Edit. Thank you for the gold award. Since so many have asked, I did not swipe right. I took a screenshot and asked my friend what she wanted me to do. She asked me to swipe right to see if he was active. I did and he messaged me asking to hook up. I told him off. He still wanted to hook up. I gave her all the screenshots. He uninvited me from the wedding because he was certain I would embarrass him. He was correct. I wouldn't sleep with my friend's fiancé, nor would I pretend that he wasn't a jerk. That's why the friendship ended. She was from a culture that required marriage before children. She was desperate for a baby and thought he was her last chance. He was running for a public office and wanted the smiling wife and cute baby. Yes. They both used each other. Edited to add, yes. They had a baby. Edited to add, no. He did not get elected. Fresh off a breakup on campus, match with this really good-looking girl who is talking pure filth. Obviously I'm just an idiot with a hurt heart, so I don't question much. Head over to her place a few days later. She insisted I come over on a certain day at XX o'clock. Usually I would have been sketched out, but it was the middle of the day on AB1G10 campus. What exactly could go that south? Half hour in, her husband came home. I was being used in revenge plot. No more Tinder. Edit. Dang, did not expect this much interest. Apologies for not checking back, haha. Anyway, I pretty much just froze and he started screaming at her in a language I did not speak, and she got out of bed and did the same. It was at an apartment slightly off campus where a lot students lived, so I guess I just assumed she had a roommate that wasn't home. Never assume. I just basically embraced the chaos, grabbed my shit as fast as I could and hightailed it out of there. I can only assume it was intentional based on the specific meetup, but maybe it was poor luck. Either way, just talk to the cute girl at the coffee shop. It's much better than apps. My worst Tinder experience was pretty traumatizing for me at the time. I was a sophomore in college and she was a junior or senior at the same school. The first time we ever hung out, I went over to her apartment and we just watched some Netflix and hung out. Nothing crazy. I was thinking this chick is super cool, we may have something here. So I leave telling her I'd like to see her again if she's down. She told me she would love to and just hit her up whenever and we'll make some plans. We start texting/Snapchatting throughout the week and organize some plans for the following weekend. Out of nowhere, she starts sending me unsolicited nudes. Never once asked for them, and when we were hanging out the weekend prior, there was no sexual activity at any level. We quite literally Netflix and chilled. It caught me off guard, but I was more than cool with it. I'm a young college guy and this hot older chick wants to send me nudes after only hanging out one time. Say less. Fast forward to the weekend, she comes to my apartment and we're hanging out with my roommates watching something on TV. She asks me if she can stay the night, and after sending nudes to me all week, I kind of figured what was up, so in my head I'm like, fuck yes. But I tell her of course, and to be polite I offer to sleep on the couch because we've only known each other for all of about 2 weeks and have only seen each other in person one time prior. She tells me she'd rather me sleep in my bed with her, so I know it's on. We get to Netflix and chilling in my room and I make a move. We start to hook up and eventually wind up having sex. I wore a condom and finished inside of it and tossed it off to my side of the bed. As we're laying there after a few minutes, she gets up abruptly, comes around to my side of the bed and grabs the condom off the floor and runs into the bathroom. I'm a little confused, maybe a little concerned, but kind of brush it off. As I'm laying there in my bed I hear a loud crash in my bathroom. She yells fuck. I ask if she's okay and get no response. I'm a little concerned, thinking this girl just fell in my bathroom and cracked her head open or something. I go to open the door and she is standing in my shower with one leg propped up trying to shove the condom up her vagina after she flipped it inside out. I freak out, no clue what to do. She's clearly freaked out and probably embarrassed. I have no clue. I shut the door and she immediately comes back out, says she's gonna leave, and I say sounds good. I never hear from her again. We lived about 25 minutes from each other, so agreed to meet at the beach pier about halfway between. Before meeting, we had been texting and he seemed totally normal. I was already at the pier when he texted me saying he can't meet me there because his license is revoked and it's too far for him to walk. I should have just left then, but I agreed to meet him at a pizza place closer to him. I get there, and I'm standing outside when I see him, and quickly realize the pics from his profile were at least 3 to 5 years old. Homeboy looks like the dollar store version of himself. Greasy, looks like he hasn't showered in days, hair undone, holes in his shirt. I awkwardly give him a side hug and suggest we get a seat. And he says, "Oh, no, we're not getting pizza. Let's go to the park." I awkwardly say okay, and as he talks, I realize his gums and tongue ring are stained black from smoking. By this point, I am completely turned off and am just keeping up with formalities, so we get to the park and find a bench to talk, and before I can sit down, homie pulls me onto his lap, squeezing me and saying, "God, baby girl, you are so fucking cute." I awkwardly scooch away and try to get a conversation going. He pulls out his phone and starts texting for a few minutes, not really listening to me, before interrupting with, "Have you smoked? My friend is a plug, we could go back to my place for a bowl." I decline. "Ah, come on, baby girl, my place is just right there. We could have some fun, too." I decline again. Next thing you know, he pulls me close by the face and whispers, "You're so innocent," before broad-tongued licking my face from chin to ear. Shell-shocked, I just sit there for a moment processing what the fuck just happened as he keeps talking about weed before I decide to fake an urgent phone call and leave. First date, we went to see a movie. She brought her sister along, without consulting me first, and I somehow ended up paying for both of their tickets. Bit of a doormat, old me. We went to see Star Wars, The Force Awakens. Turns out, neither of them had seen a Star Wars film before, nor had any idea at all what was going on. Awesome. Date ended at McDonald's after the movie with 1 hour of her eating fries one at a time, and her sister talking shit about basically everyone at her work. To this day I'm not sure what the date was even about. There was no second date. Chatted with this girl for about 2 weeks. Every conversation went well and eventually I got her number and she started sharing nudes and speaking dirty. Late on evening after a stressful work day she talks me into driving an hour to come get coffee with her. She spends the next hour and a half non-stop talking about her ex and how she has to see him at the bank and all this personal upset ex-girlfriend stuff. She cuts me off anytime I try to speak or change the subject right back to him. A day later I get a text about how I didn't do any talking and I was too boring to be anything more than just friends with. She got irate when I pointed out she would not allow me to speak and only wanted to talk about her ex-boyfriend when we have never once had a slow or boring conversation before meeting up. This girl I matched with just messaged to troll me. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" and she was like, "Don't talk to me unless you plan on fucking me with your 9-inch dick." I forgot what my reply was, but she obviously never messaged back. Then a week later I'm getting McDonald's and this girl was the one who handed me my food. She recognizes me instantly and just had this total look of fear in her eyes. I walked out of there so quick. That poor girl thought I purposely sought her out to confront her or something.
Feel free to leave it in the comments if you have something like this to share. For more stories like this, subscribe and share. See you soon.